The Grand Celestial Hotel floated in space like a giant diamond. It circled around a busy trading station where ships from all over the galaxy came to do business. The hotel was the most expensive and beautiful place in this part of space. Rich aliens and important diplomats stayed there when they needed somewhere fancy to sleep. Peter Grant stood in the main lobby, checking his datapad for the third time that morning. He was the hotel manager, and he took great pride in his work. Every guest got perfect service. Every room was spotless. Every meal was exactly right. That was his rule, and his staff knew it well. The morning had been quiet so far. A few guests were eating breakfast in the restaurant. Some were looking out the big windows at the stars. Peter smiled. This was how he liked things, calm and organized. Then the alarms went off. Peter's datapad lit up with red warnings. A ship was approaching without permission. A big ship. His heart started beating faster. Unauthorized ships usually meant trouble. "Sir, we have a situation," Ryan Cole said, running up to him. Ryan was the head of security, a former military man who never panicked. But right now his face looked worried. A draconian Imperial vessel just appeared. "They're requesting immediate docking." Peter felt his stomach drop. Draconians were not common visitors. They kept to themselves, had their own empire, and rarely mixed with other species. An Imperial vessel meant royalty. Very important royalty. "Get the royal suite ready now," Peter ordered. "Move anyone who's in there. I don't care who they are. And get every translator we have to the docking bay." The staff rushed around like ants whose hill had been kicked. Maids ran to prepare rooms. Chefs started cooking special foods. The translator team grabbed their equipment and hurried to the entrance. Peter straightened his jacket and walked to the docking bay. His hands were shaking slightly, but he hid them behind his back. Whatever important person was on that ship, they would see only perfect service. The airlock opened with a hiss. First came the guards. 6 of them, each one standing 8 feet tall, wearing armor that gleamed like polished metal. They carried weapons that Peter recognized as plasma rifles. They moved into position on either side of the airlock, their eyes scanning everything. Then she entered. The Dragon Empress was the most amazing thing Peter had ever seen. She was 12 feet tall, with scales that shimmered purple and gold under the lights. Her eyes were like liquid amber, ancient and intelligent. A long tail swept behind her, moving slowly like a cat's. She wore robes made of some material that seemed to flow like water. Behind her came more draconians, smaller ones who must be servants or advisors. They kept their heads bowed low. Peter stepped forward and bowed deeply. "Your Majesty, welcome to the Grand Celestial Hotel. We are honored by your presence. I am Peter Grant, the manager. How may we serve you?" The Empress looked at him. Her mouth opened and sounds came out. They were beautiful sounds, like music mixed with thunder, but Peter understood nothing. The words made no sense at all. He turned to the translator team. They were already working, their machines beeping and flashing. The head translator, a thin man named Carl, shook his head. "The system can't identify the language, sir. It's not in any database." Peter felt sweat on his forehead. "Try the backup systems." "Try everything," they tried. For 20 minutes, they tried every piece of translation technology the hotel owned. Nothing worked. The Empress kept speaking, her voice getting louder and more frustrated. Her tail started lashing back and forth, hitting the wall with loud bangs. The guards moved closer to her, their hands on their weapons. Other guests in the lobby backed away, looking scared. This was becoming a disaster. Peter tried hand gestures. He tried showing her pictures on his datapad. Nothing helped. The Empress was clearly upset now. She pointed at things and made angry sounds. One of her guards stepped forward and roared at Peter, showing teeth as long as knives. "Please, Your Majesty," Peter said, even though he knew she couldn't understand. "We want to help. Just tell us what you need," but she couldn't tell them, and they couldn't understand. The situation was getting worse by the minute. The Empress turned away from them all, her shoulders tight with anger or maybe sadness. She walked to the big window and stared out at the stars, alone in a room full of people trying to help her. In the service corridor, hidden behind a wall panel, Katie Morrison watched everything. She was just a maid, wearing the simple gray uniform of the cleaning staff. She wasn't supposed to be there. She should be cleaning rooms on the upper floors. But something about the sounds the Empress made had caught her attention. Something familiar. Something she had heard before, not in person but in her studies. Katie pressed closer to the wall, listening carefully as the Empress spoke again. Her heart started beating faster. It couldn't be, could it? She knew that language. Or at least she thought she did. But that was impossible. What she was thinking was absolutely impossible. Katie looked down at the cleaning supplies in her hands. She looked back at the Empress standing alone by the window. She thought about her small room, her quiet life, her boring job. Then she thought about the old books she read every night, the ancient languages she studied because she loved them, because they made her feel connected to something bigger than herself. She took a deep breath. This was either going to be the best decision of her life, or the one that got her fired. Katie had worked at the Grand Celestial Hotel for 3 years. During the day, she cleaned rooms and changed sheets. At night, she studied languages. Not the common ones that everyone spoke, but the old ones, the dead ones, the languages that existed thousands of years ago, before spaceships and computers. Her tiny room was full of books and data files. She had no family, no boyfriend, no exciting life, just work and study. Most people thought it was boring. Katie thought it was wonderful. Each old language was like a puzzle, a window into how ancient people thought and dreamed. She had studied Draconian history for 6 months. Not modern Draconian, which the translators should have known. The really old stuff. The ceremonial language that dragons spoke before they built their empire, when they were still living in caves and looking up at the stars. The next morning, Katie was cleaning the observation deck. It was early and most guests were still sleeping. She liked this time. The deck was quiet with huge windows showing the stars and the trading station below. She was wiping down a table when she heard something. Footsteps, heavy ones. She looked up and froze. The Dragon Empress stood at the far end of the deck alone. No guards, no servants. Just her looking out at space. She seemed smaller somehow, less scary. Her tail was wrapped around her feet and her head was tilted down. Katie should have left. She should have gone to another room. Instead, she stayed very still and listened. The Empress was talking to herself. Her voice was soft and sad. The words floated across the empty deck and Katie's heart almost stopped. She knew those words. She had read them in old texts. She had practiced pronouncing them late at night, trying to get the sounds right. This was the ceremonial tongue, the ancient language of the dragon people. Katie's mouth went dry. Her hands were shaking. This was crazy. She was a maid, a nobody. She couldn't just walk up to an Empress and start talking, but the Empress sounded so sad. So alone, Katie made a decision. She put down her cleaning cloth and walked forward. Each step felt like it took forever. Her brain was screaming at her to stop, to run away, but her feet kept moving. When she was 10 feet away, she stopped. She took a deep breath and spoke in the old language. The words felt strange in her mouth, but she said them as clearly as she could. "Greetings, Great One. May the stars light your path." The Empress spun around so fast that Katie jumped back. Those huge amber eyes stared down at her. Katie's whole body wanted to run, but she stood still. Her legs felt like water. For a long moment, neither of them moved. The Empress looked shocked. Her mouth was open, showing those sharp teeth. Then slowly, her expression changed. The anger and frustration that had been there since yesterday melted away. She smiled. "You speak the old tongue," the Empress said in the same language. Her voice was full of wonder. "How is this possible? How does a human know the words of my ancestors?" Katie's heart was pounding so hard she thought it might break her ribs. "I studied it, Great One. I love old languages. I read about your people's history. I never thought I would meet someone who still spoke it." The Empress moved closer. Katie had to tilt her head back to look at her face. This close, she could see that the scales were not just purple and gold. They had tiny flecks of blue and green too, like oil on water. "What is your name, small one?" the Empress asked. "Katie Morrison, Great One. I clean rooms here." "Katie," the Empress repeated, testing the name. "You have given me a great gift. I have been alone with my thoughts for days. No one could understand me. I thought I would have to break my vow." "Your vow?" Katie asked. The Empress nodded slowly. "I am on a sacred journey. During this time I may speak only in the ceremonial tongue. It is tradition, very old tradition, but my own people have forgotten it. Even my advisors do not know it anymore. I thought I would complete my journey in silence." "You're not silent now," Katie said, then immediately worried she had been too casual. But the Empress just smiled again. "No. Thanks to you I can speak. Tell me, Katie Morrison, who cleans rooms and studies old languages, will you talk with me? I have been so lonely. Katie felt tears in her eyes. Here was an empress, a being who ruled billions, asking her for company. Yes, great one, I would like that very much. They talked for an hour. Katie's ancient draconian was rough, and she made mistakes. The empress corrected her gently, seeming to enjoy teaching. They talked about simple things at first. The stars. The hotel. How strange it was to float in space. When Katie finally had to leave for her other duties, the empress touched her shoulder gently with one clawed hand. Come back tonight, Katie Morrison. I have much to say, and you are the only one who can hear me. Katie nodded, unable to speak. As she walked away, she realized her whole life had just changed. She just didn't know how much yet. Peter Grant found out about Katie 2 days later. He was in his office when his assistant knocked on the door. Her face was white. Sir, we have a problem. The Empress has been talking to one of our maids. For hours. Without authorization, Peter dropped his datapad. What? Which maid?
Katie Morrison.
From cleaning staff. Peter felt his face turn red with anger. This was a disaster. A low-level employee speaking directly to royalty without permission or supervision. It broke every protocol they had. He stormed out of his office, heading straight for the royal suite. He found Katie standing outside the Empress's door, holding a tray of food. She looked nervous but also different somehow. More confident. She knocked and the door opened. The Empress herself stood there. When she saw Katie, her whole face lit up. The Empress made gestures toward Katie, then pointed at Peter. She spoke in that strange language, her tone making it clear she was asking something. Katie looked at Peter, then back at the Empress. She spoke in the old tongue, and the Empress responded. This went on for a minute while Peter stood there completely lost. Finally, Katie turned to him. The Empress wants to know why you're here, sir. I'm here because you've been meeting with Her Majesty without authorization, Peter said, trying to keep his voice calm. This is highly irregular. You should have reported to me immediately, Katie translated. The Empress's eyes narrowed. She spoke sharply, her tail starting to lash. She says I'm the only one allowed to serve her, Katie translated. No one else. Just me. Peter felt like the floor had disappeared under his feet. But that's impossible. You're just a maid. We have senior staff, trained diplomats. The Empress cut him off with a roar. Not a loud one, but enough to make Peter step back. She pointed at Katie and spoke firmly. Even without translation, Peter understood. The message was clear. Katie stays or the Empress would be very unhappy. Ryan Cole arrived, bringing more trouble. Sir, we have draconian officials at the station demanding access to the Empress. They say they need to speak with her about imperial business. But she won't see them. She keeps sending them away. Peter looked at Katie. Can you ask her why? Katie spoke to the Empress in the old language. The conversation went on for several minutes. Finally, Katie turned back to them, looking uncomfortable. She says she's on a sacred pilgrimage. During this time, she speaks only the ceremonial tongue. It's a very old tradition. Modern draconians don't know it anymore, even her own advisors. She's not being difficult. She's following her beliefs. Peter sat down on a nearby chair, his head spinning. This changed everything. The Empress wasn't crazy or trying to cause problems. She was religious. And somehow a human maid was the only person in this whole station who could speak her religious language. What does she need? Peter asked quietly. Katie looked relieved that he was listening. Specific foods. They have to be prepared in certain ways. Her room needs to be arranged differently, and she needs someone to talk to. Someone who understands the old ways. And that someone is you, Peter said. Yes, sir. I know it's strange, but it's more than strange. It's impossible. But it's happening. Peter rubbed his face. All right. As of now, you're her official liaison. You'll move into the small room next to her suite. You'll be available whenever she needs you. Katie's eyes went wide. Sir, you heard me. I don't like it. The head concierge, Linda Hayes, is going to hate it, but the guest is always right and this guest wants you. He stood up. Don't make me regret this. Linda Hayes did hate it. She cornered Katie in the hallway that evening, her face full of anger. 3 years you've been here? 3 years of nothing special. Now suddenly you're important? What did you do, trick her somehow? I just spoke her language, Katie said quietly. Her language. Right. And I suppose you expect special treatment now? Better pay? A better room? I didn't ask for any of this, Katie said. I was just trying to help. Help, Linda said with a bitter laugh. You're a maid. Know your place, but Katie's place had changed. That night, she moved her few belongings into the room next to the Empress. It was small but nice, much better than her old quarters. Through the wall, she could hear the Empress moving around. It was strange. Yesterday, she had been nobody. Today, she was the most important employee in the hotel. She unpacked her books and data files, setting them on the small desk. There was a knock on the door connecting her room to the Empress's suite. Katie opened it. The Empress stood there looking almost shy. I wanted to thank you, Katie Morrison. For the first time in many days, I do not feel alone. Katie smiled. You're welcome, Great One. I'm glad I can help. Please, when we are alone, call me by my name. Sharaxia. Katie repeated it carefully. Sharaxia. The Empress smiled. Good, now come. Let us talk. I want to hear about your world, your people. Tell me everything, and Katie did. Living next to an Empress was strange. Katie woke up each morning to the sound of Sharaxia moving around in the next room. Sometimes she heard the Empress singing in the old tongue. It was beautiful, haunting music that made Katie want to cry even though she didn't understand all the words. They spent hours together. Sharaxia asked endless questions about Earth and humans. She wanted to know everything. What did Katie eat for breakfast? What were human families like? Why did humans have so many different languages and cultures? Katie did her best to answer. She told stories about Earth's oceans and mountains, about cities and farms. She explained how humans could be kind and cruel, smart and foolish all at the same time. Sharaxia listened to everything with deep attention. Your people choose their leaders? The Empress asked one day. They were sitting in her suite. Katie on a chair and Sharaxia on the floor, her tail wrapped around herself. They vote? In many places, yes, Katie said. Not everywhere, but in a lot of countries. Sharaxia looked thoughtful. In my empire, leadership passes through blood. I am Empress because my mother was Empress, her mother before her, back through thousands of years. I never chose this. It chose me. Do you like being Empress? Katie asked carefully. Sharaxia was quiet for a long time. I do my duty. That is what matters. But I often wonder what it would be like to be free, to make my own choices, to be just Sharaxia, not the Empress. Katie heard the sadness in her voice. You can be both. You can be the Empress when you need to be and just yourself when you're here with me. Sharaxia smiled. Is that what we are? Just ourselves? Yes, Katie said. Just two people talking. The hotel staff slowly adjusted to the new situation. The chef, Marcus Webb, learned to make special foods for the Empress. Katie would describe what was needed in the old tongue, and Marcus would figure out how to cook it. He was a big man with a loud laugh, and he loved a challenge. So she wants meat cooked over flame, not heat rays, he asked one day. Yes, Katie said. Fire cooked. It's ceremonial. The old dragons believed fire was sacred. Fire cooked meat. Got it. What kind of seasoning? Katie consulted her notes. Salt and dried bitter leaf. No other spices. Marcus nodded and got to work. When the Empress tasted his food, she closed her eyes and made a sound of pleasure. She spoke to Katie, her voice warm. She says it tastes like her childhood. Katie translated to Marcus. Like her grandmother's cooking. Marcus beamed. Tell her it's my honor. Peter Grant started to see Katie differently, too. He called her to his office one afternoon. The draconian officials are still demanding to meet with the Empress, he said. Can you ask her if she'll see them? Just for a few minutes. Katie went to Sharaxia and asked. The Empress looked tired. Tell them I will meet them in 5 days. After my meditation is complete. Not before. When Katie reported this, Peter nodded. 5 days. I can work with that. You're doing good work, Katie. The hotel appreciates it. Thank you, sir. I'm also approving a pay increase. You're doing the work of 3 people. Katie hadn't expected that. Money had always been tight. This would help. I don't know what to say. Say you'll keep doing what you're doing. Keep the Empress happy. Keep us all from a diplomatic disaster. The nights were Katie's favorite time. After the Empress finished her daily rituals, they would sit together and just talk. Sharaxia told stories about her childhood on the draconian homeworld, about flying for the first time, the wind under her wings, about learning to breathe fire, the heat building in her chest until it burst out in flame. Katie shared her own memories, her father teaching her to read. her mother's garden. The day she left Earth to work in space, scared and excited at the same time. You miss your family, Sharaxia observed. Yes, Katie admitted. My parents died a few years ago. I don't have any brothers or sisters. It's just me now. Then we are the same, Sharaxia said softly. Both alone. Both far from home. But we have each other now, Katie said. Yes, the Empress agreed. We have each other. One evening, Sharaxia asked Katie to teach her about human music. Katie pulled up some songs on her datapad. She played classical music, rock, jazz, and pop. The Empress listened to all of it with fascination. When a soft piano piece played, Sharaxia closed her eyes. This one speaks to my soul. It's called Clair de Lune, Katie said. It means moonlight in an old Earth language. Moonlight, Sharaxia repeated in the common tongue, one of the few words she would speak outside the ceremonial language. Beautiful. They sat in comfortable silence, listening to the music, watching the stars through the window. Katie felt something shift inside her. This wasn't just a job anymore. This wasn't just a diplomatic assignment. She cared about Sharaxia, really cared. The Empress had become her friend. She didn't know it yet, but Sharaxia felt the same way. And soon that friendship would be tested in ways neither of them could imagine. The truth came out 3 weeks after they met. Katie noticed that Sharaxia was moving slower. She saw the Empress wince sometimes when she thought no one was looking. The shimmering scale seemed a little duller. One evening, Katie found Sharaxia sitting by the window, her breathing heavy. Without thinking, Katie rushed over. Are you all right? Should I call a doctor? No doctors, Sharaxia said firmly. Then more quietly. Sit with me, Katie. I need to tell you something. Something no one else knows. Katie sat down, worry filling her chest. What is it? Sharaxia was silent for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was barely a whisper. I am dying. The words hit Katie like a physical blow. What? No, there must be something. There is nothing, Sharaxia said. It is a genetic condition. Common in the royal bloodline. My mother died of it. Her mother before her. Now it is my turn. I have perhaps 6 months, maybe less. Katie felt tears on her face. Does anyone else know? My doctors know. But I ordered them to tell no one. My people cannot see weakness. An Empress must be strong until the very end. Sharaxia looked at Katie, her amber eyes full of pain. But I needed to tell someone. I needed someone to know that I am afraid. Of course you're afraid, Katie said, taking one of the Empress's large hands in both of hers. Anyone would be. An Empress should not be, Sharaxia said bitterly. An Empress should face death with dignity and strength. But I am terrified. I do not want to die. I do not want to leave everything behind. Katie squeezed her hand. You're allowed to be scared. You're allowed to be human. I mean, you know what I mean. You're a person. Persons are allowed to be scared. Sharaxia let out a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. This pilgrimage, this sacred journey, it was supposed to help me find peace, to prepare me. But mostly I think I just wanted to be free for a little while, to speak the old words and remember what it was like before I was Empress, before duty consumed everything. Tell me about when you were young, Katie said gently. Before you were Empress. Sharaxia smiled, her eyes distant with memory. I was wild. I flew too fast, dove too deep into the ocean. My mother said I had fire in my soul that would never be tamed. I wanted to be an explorer, to see the galaxy, to discover new worlds. She looked at Katie. Instead, I spent my life in meetings and ceremonies, making decisions that affected billions of people I would never meet. Do you regret it? Katie asked. Some days, Sharaxia admitted, but I did my best. I tried to be wise. I tried to be fair. I hope that counts for something. It counts for everything, Katie said. They talked deep into the night. Sharaxia asked Katie about death beliefs on Earth. She was fascinated by how many different ideas humans had. Some believed in heaven, some in reincarnation, some in nothing at all. What do you believe? The Empress asked. Katie thought about it. I think we live on in the people we touch. The things we teach them, the ways we change them. My father died, but I still hear his voice sometimes giving me advice. He's still alive in me. So I will live on in you, Sharaxia said softly. Yes. And in everyone else whose life you've touched. That's immortality in a way. Sharaxia was quiet for a long time. Then she said, I must choose a successor soon. Someone to rule after I am gone. It should be my sister, Velraxia. She is smart and brave. But many in the court want someone more traditional. Someone who will keep things as they have always been. What does Velraxia want? Katie asked. Change, Shiraxia said. She wants to open our empire to the rest of the galaxy, to join the Galactic Council, to let our people learn from other species as I have learned from you. The Empress smiled. Meeting you has shown me that change can be good. That different does not mean dangerous. Katie felt the weight of that statement. She was influencing the future of an entire empire, just by being herself. It was terrifying and wonderful at the same time. You should name her, Katie said. Even if others disagree. You know what's right, do I? Shiraxia asked. I no longer know what I know. Death makes everything uncertain. Katie squeezed her hand again. Then I'll be certain for both of us. You're wise. You're kind. You care about your people. Whatever you decide will be right. Shiraxia looked at Katie with such gratitude that it made Katie's heart ache. How did I find you, little human? How did the universe bring you to me when I needed someone most? Maybe the universe knew we both needed a friend, Katie said. Yes, Shiraxia agreed. Perhaps it did. They sat together watching the stars wheel by through the window, holding hands across the vast differences between them. Outside, the station bustled with life. Ships came and went. Business was conducted. The galaxy turned. But in that room, time seemed to stop. There was just two friends facing the darkness together, finding light in each other's company. Katie made a silent promise to herself that night. Whatever time Shiraxia had left, Katie would make sure she wasn't alone. Not for a single moment.